Hi everyone, so I am just going to walk you through a full line update of the SUNY COVID Risk Assessment Tool. So let's say I am Catherine from New Paltz. I would just go in and add in today's date, and then her initials would probably be there from the other time, but I would put in mine for this situation. Um, so what I found useful in updating these, especially if you're doing several in a row, is to go ahead and save these as a bookmark so that you could open all of them in a separate screen. So that's what I've done here on the left hand side. And for each country that you're responsible for updating, you just have access to your line from I through the end here. Should you need any additional access, feel free to ask us. It's just because of inadvertent data entry into other lines just to keep things clean. So just keep us posted though. So as Catherine, I'm going to go in and look at Australia's vaccination rates. Everybody might look and do this a bit differently, but I'll just show you how I go through it. So then we're looking at Australia. For the vaccination rates, we are putting in only the ones that are fully vaccinated. So share of people fully vaccinated against COVID-19 in Australia, 61.63. 61.63. Then I go over to the CDC rating. Here, what I usually just do is Command F or Control F and just search for Australia. So I can see that that's in level 3, so that doesn't change. Then we're going over to the Department of State. And typically here I find it easiest just to go into this box here and start typing Australia level 3. No change needed here. UHC. This one is a bit more complicated, and if you need any help getting access to the site, just let us know. I have a full dive-in video on this one, but typically you're going to arrive here. If you need the SUNY ID, we have it here, UHCG ID number. So this is the SUNY number here. So when you're creating an account, if you need an account, that's the number that you have. But after that, you should be able to log in. And then if you go over to World Watch, and then under select a country, you would go down to the country that you are trying to find. I will say that whoever is doing Hong Kong, Hong Kong is listed under cities, not countries, so just keep that in mind. So for Australia, let's click on that. And so how the UHC global ratings work. You're going to look at this COVID-19 summary status, so it's not the threat level. So you would look at this part here, what phase you're in. And then this is where you might want to have a little cheat sheet printed out. But under Pandemics Explained, they have these metrics here in these 4 categories, and how we've numbered them are green, 1, on track for containment, yellow, 2, community spread, orange, 3, accelerated spread, or red, 4, at a tipping point. And so you have to use this language here to associate the number with what is written here under the COVID summary status, community spread. So for Australia, community spread, that is at 2. I will say that, in this particular case, it matches the threat level, but it does not always. So you can't rely on this to be the COVID UHC global rating. Then we go over to COVID-19 cases. And again, you can just type in the country. So we're looking at Australia. You don't even really need to click it, but you can. But 80.15. 80.15. All right. Then the HAQ index. Truly, you shouldn't need to update this at all, but if you wanted to double check it, because this is definitely a static figure, so unless a new report comes out. But here's the report, and I also use Control F as my handy dandy friend here, and then just enter down until we get to this chart. Australia is up here with 96, so as you can see, this is remaining the same because the report hasn't changed. For COVID tests, so right now they are all yes, because in theory, according to the US Embassy websites for all of the countries listed here, it does say that COVID tests are available and that they are reasonably and readily available within 72 hours. So, but how you can check that is the Department of State has the list of the COVID specific pages for each of the embassy's websites here. You can also just Google US Embassy in Australia COVID and then click on it there. But if we navigate through it on this website, they all look slightly different but have the same, if not, very similar, if not the same headings. So when you go down to COVID testing, so are PCR and antigen tests available for U.S. citizens? Yes. If so, are they reliably available within 72 hours? Yes. In the SUNY COVID Risk Assessment Tool 2.0, we hope to make this a bit more nuanced because every country does say yes, but we know for a fact that, of course, certain areas it may be a bit more difficult. We don't have it separated by how much one may cost for getting it within 72 hours. So all of these things are to be kept in mind. But at the end of the day, yes, COVID tests are available. Then for the CIEEHRI, this is beginning the columns where it's for reference only. This is a very handy and great metric. However, they don't do it for all of the countries that we're reporting on and monitoring. So that's why it's not being calculated into our risk index or Australia here. So you can click on their report. They update it every 2-3 weeks. This is the most recent report. And you can look Asia Pacific, Australia, and it's at number 7. So here. So once we get over to columns Q and R about whether or not the country is accepting U.S. non-degree seeking students, which this column is mostly for us to be able to reference about semester and academic year-long students going on those programs. And then if a country is accepting U.S. tourists, which is primarily a focus for our short-term abroad programs, you would use the same website that you used for the COVID tests available. And if you scroll down, they have entry and exit requirements. And so this one's pretty basic because we have our U.S. citizens permitted to enter. No. So not in any way. You may take the time, of course, and you should take the time to read through any of these specifying details and put some notes to the right here. This is definitely probably one of the harder side of things to update, just because it is pretty specific and sometimes hard to find exact information. But let us know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for all you are doing and for helping us with the COVID risk assessment tool.